We are back. This is the Manifold TCG Promotional League. This is the Round of 32 Group 5 Placement Match B. I am Brad. With me as always is Adam. Adam, who do we have today?
Thanks for the intro, Brad. Hey, everyone. Today we've got Hugh versus Jonathan. So I believe we're starting off with Hugh here. Hugh's deck list is just aggro. We are trying to burn our opponent to the ground as quickly as possible with Rylo and Starlet. So there's a bunch of direct damage. There's a bunch of attachments that roll damaging dice, and that's most of it.
Yeah, you're going to see on these heroes a bunch of red and blue dice, and those can roll physical damage. And then in this deck list, you have a lot of cheap, narrow cards where you're really throwing away cards for small advantages as often as you can, because Starlet is able to resolve if you get a shield or a draw somewhere along the way. She turns that into cards, which you just turn back into logistics or overcharges.
Absolutely. And on the other side, we've got a really cool deck that Jonathan's playing, originally built by Jesse. This is a 4/11s deck where really the point here is when you're playing 4/11s, you have 40 health, which means you have more health than them. And if everyone just trades off damage, you'll eventually win that race.
And the deck list here is really inspired by Hin. Hin says whenever you play a support character, you may have each player draw a card. And that means this deck is allowed to play just an obscene number of one-cost characters because you're never going to run out of things to play.
Yep, and it's kind of crazy how effective just play a one-drop, roll its dice, play a one-drop, roll its dice, drawing a card each time. You can get a lot of dice doing that.
Well, it looks like Hugh has won the die roll.
Yep. While our players are getting set up and all that, it'd be excellent if you guys could like and subscribe to this channel. We're doing this to get Manifold out into the world, and engagement like that will push it to other people.
And people are starting to find us via Reddit and Facebook, and those people are getting pushed here so that they can see that the game is cool. So guys, if you are not one of our friends in Bellingham and you're finding this content, thank you, welcome. The game's coming out real soon. Pre-orders are live now. You can find them at Pairodice.games, at Aegis.games, at Paradox Trading Post, probably some other places. If you go to mountbakergames.com/manifold and you go to our store locator, you can find a store near you that's carrying the game. And if you can't, please tell your LGS you want to play this game. Have them reach out to us. We'll make it worth their while.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, and Hugh is starting off with an Earthbinder.
Perfect.
So Earthbinder has some fancy words on it that exhaust support characters, but that's not happening. He was just using it for dice, and that's probably just fine.
Yeah, it rolls 2 premium dice, and it rolls a red and a purple. There aren't any other purple dice in Hugh's hero pool, so that modify can go a long way towards making that blue dice roll damage.
Yeah, I think Hugh's deck is really built around just making as much damage as possible, and so, like you said, purple and red is right where you want to be for that.
Kind of the funny thing about Hugh's deck is it's really optimized for doing 32 damage as quickly as possible.
Sure.
So we have to see how quickly it can do 40.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. This is, like I said in the intro, Jesse's deck has more health than most opponents you're going to face. And that is a big part. I cannot stress enough how much that is specifically part of the design of the deck, even though it doesn't really feel like it.
How much more 40 is than 32.
Yeah, and it's noticeable when you're just trying to count to 32.
So Hugh activates Rylo. Rylo is able to deal 1 damage to himself to modify a dice to damage. So he was able to turn a blank into a 2.
Yep. Which is, excellent. And Yuseth, on the other side, will eat 1 of those 2 damages.
So we've talked about Yuseth before. He's a very common 11 if anyone's playing 11s. And his trick is he can deal 1 damage to himself to remove a dice showing damage. So he kind of heals 1 because he takes 1 to get rid of 2.
Right.
And so in a lot of ways, he's like a 12 health 11.
Yeah.
So you could argue that Jonathan's deck actually is 42 health.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Hugh's going to modify his other red dice into damage, while Jonathan's going to play an Enthusiastic Harmonist. Both players draw a card.
Something we didn't talk about with Jonathan is he has 4 colors of gems, and he has a lot of 1-cost characters. Let's talk about this overcharge first.
Yep, so overcharge here is just going to resolve Hugh's 3 damage as 5, really taking a chunk out of Yuseth. I would be surprised if Hugh doesn't kill Yuseth this round. I mean, based on his... Okay, let me rephrase. Hugh's deck can easily kill Yuseth in round 1. I don't think it's going to happen this round.
Yeah, at this point, it has to be perfect. Because he can, right? He's I guess without any rerolls, he's 17% to do it.
Yes.
Even through that one shield that's on the table.
Yeah, but it isn't, guaranteed or anything.
But Jonathan's, not only is he managing 4 colors worth of gems, all his cheap cards don't have any gray costs.
Right.
One cost characters only cost colored costs.
Right.
And so Jonathan has a lot of things like Gyorner, looking at the top 3 cards of his deck and discarding 1. Relic Seeker, looking at the top 3 and discarding any number.
Yeah.
And in the early game, you're really playing, in round 1, you're really playing this mini game where it's like, can I spend my gems?
Yes. And that's why getting your first, getting whichever locale you get at the very start matters a lot. What color am I going to need 2 of this round? And then Enthusiastic Harmonist has a gray gem, so you can kind of, play around with it.
Yeah, and Federation Arborealist has a gray gem. There aren't none, but there aren't very many.
Right. So Surveillance Drone here is going to let Jonathan look at Hugh's hand. I see an ambush, a Haunting Winds, a Radar Servo.
Logistics, and another ambush.
Ooh, neat.
So not a lot of meat.
Yeah, that's true. Not a lot of... But John's just going to draw Hugh that meat.
A second Surveillance Drone. Jonathan looks at Hugh's hand again.
Yep. Wow. So there's this thing against Hin decks. You don't see Hin all that often. But Hin will draw both players a whole pile of cards, which means usually your deck is built to... most decks are built to draw and tactical reroll with a number of cards that make sense for them. When you're playing against Hin, you're going to draw like 10 extra cards over the course of the game that you're probably not going to be able to play. So my personal heuristic is when I'm playing against Hin, I want to tactical reroll as often as possible, or as often as reasonable, of course, and try to maximize dice. Yeah,
and these Hin decks often have really tremendous outputs, and then sometimes they lose, and it's hard. It always feels crazy because it's like I'm dealing 32 damage on round 3. How did my opponent deal 40 damage on round 3? And the answer is, as the Hin player, you gave your opponent the perfect hand.
Yeah.
And so you're really going to watch Manifold where everything is going right for both players.
Right. Yeah. Imagine you just start the game with your deck in your hand. What does the game look like? Now, that's clearly not literally what's happening, but Hugh's going to have more meat. If Hugh didn't have very much meat, like you said, there's a good chance he draws it when he needs it.
Although, worth noting, this is something that a lot of players learn when they play against Hin. And this is probably the first time Hugh has ever played against a Hin deck.
That's probably true. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Well, let's see what Hugh does with all the excess cards he's got.
But you saw Hugh dug in. Jonathan still had 4 characters to activate. So Jonathan went into, fast mode.
Yeah.
Activating all his things, not waiting because his opponent's done. And now he's re-rolling a bunch.
Yeah.
And
that's pretty good.
That's a lot of damage.
Yeah, 7 damage, 6 through a shield. So do you think John's going to go after Starlet or Rylo first?
My hunch is always that you go after the one with the attachment on it.
Yeah, okay. I've got the idea in my head that I want Rylo to be alive as long as possible, because the longer Rylo's alive, the more damage he's going to tack on himself and the less work you have to do. Right?
Oh, interesting.
Because now John only needs to do 31 damage. And if Rylo's the last hero, maybe that number's actually 29 or 28 or whatever, right? That said, go after the guy with all the attachments and prestiges is a great place to be. John's going to resolve damage into Rylo, who will take a total of 7 this round. Okay, so it's 7 damage to 8. Fairly reasonable, but John spent all his gems, made a whole bunch of little boys, and we're going into round 2.
Yeah, and the breakpoint is way more important for Hugh.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
If Hugh loses Rylo and Jonathan loses both Proxima and Yusuf, that's a game that John's currently winning. But on top of that, if the damage trades are equal, John having 8 more health is really going to rear its head.
Yes. Yeah, it really will. So so keep an eye on, does Rylo die this round? I think that's going to be the biggest single point of contention.
And this Hin deck, Jonathan's deck, has 2 more points that we need to talk about. One of them is you have a breakpoint when you get 6 characters in from among all discards.
Hugh's not going to be helping with that too much.
That's true, but Jonathan's already used Gjorner once.
Yep.
He's already used Relic Seeker, and he was tactical re-rolling some stuff.
He might be pretty close, so Proxima might be online this round.
Once you get to 6, not only is Proxima online, but your Ascended start costing 4 instead of costing 6.
And at that point, a 4-drop that just rolls 3 premium dice is where every deck wants to be if possible.
Yeah, it's the only one of those in Terran Sentinels.
Yeah. So,
and then the other cheaty thing Jonathan does is Masquerade.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Hugh's action.
So Hugh's gonna play an ambush to start off this round, which puts a blue counter on Rylo and immediately activates him. I think this is a great idea because there's a good chance that Hugh is let's see, 2. Okay, Hugh didn't roll just like lethal damage into Proxima or anything, even with Rylo taking a damage to modify 1. But Hugh did get modify 2 on the purple dice, which is going to be real nice.
Yeah, and now there's still a chance here, because Ambush was swift, so it's still Hugh's turn.
Sure.
So Hugh can take a damage on Rylo, modify into up to 5 damage, so Witchfire would let him kill Yusuf.
Sure. That's true. Let's see if he's got that. Yeah, because Witchfire resolve damage into Yusuf would be really nice. He's got, let's see, Concussive Blast, Examine the Specimens, Spotter Scope in hand, and none of those do the job right now. Yeah, I don't think he could like Logistics Starlet or something like that to try to get in. I don't think that's where Hugh wants to be.
Well, that might be fine because Concussive Blast might just already be your plan for the rest of your gems.
Sure.
Because if you Logistics Starlet, not only might you just get to 8 damage, you might resolve her draw and find a Witchfire.
That is certainly
or
true.
an Overcharge.
All right. Yeah, so Hugh has a bunch of options right now. It's still Hugh's turn because that was swift. Interesting. He could, of course, just like resolve his modify 2 into 4 more damage and present lethal on Proxima as well.
That's true.
Yeah.
If he doesn't resolve his 2s, John's going. Hugh did not take another action after his ambush.
Hugh might have not realized it was swift.
Yeah, so from an engine standpoint, that means you choose to pass.
Sure. So John could just pass, and then the round ends. I doubt that's what we're doing.
Yeah, if John was like, "Hey, you forgot your ambush, the round's over," we haven't had that judge call yet.
No, we haven't.
We certainly need rules to govern that, don't we?
Yeah. So Hugh is going to use his last 3 gems on. It looks like potentially Examine the Specimens here. Okay. So Examine the Specimens here is going to kill probably, Enthusiastic Harmonist in one of the servos. Sure. Yeah, that's...
Yeah, 3 gems to take 3 black dice off your opponent's side of the table is...
absolutely fine.
Yeah, perfectly fair.
Yeah. It's not particularly flashy, but that's okay. Huh. Yeah, so if Hugh had like a chain plasma rifle in hand or something like that, I would have recommended growing, putting on a Starlet and growing your board a little bit, but I don't think he has something like that.
Yeah, and the only way he could have grown here would be playing another ambush. He didn't have quadruple red. I'm not sure if he took a green in round 1. He probably did because he started with the Earthbinder.
I think he took a green in this round because he was planning on going ambush examine.
Yeah, the line you could have taken, if you just wait to spend your gems between Starlet and Hin, you're probably going to draw cards, so you might have had some opportunity to grow.
Sure.
But this, you don't play Starlet Rylo because you're planning on being patient.
Yeah, that's a good way to put that. So he's just going to modify up to 9 damage. And Jonathan's deck doesn't have many defenses. That's another weird little quirk about it. He's got like 3
Arborealist.
3 Arborealist and 3 what's them called? Clothbound Apprentices.
Right.
But that's like it. So Yuseth is going to eat one of the 2 damages, and Hugh will resolve. Oh, interesting.
So he resolves 8 damage into Proxima?
Yeah, putting Proxima to 9. So not killing either of them would kind of be a disaster.
Yeah, and he still has this Starlet activation.
Yeah.
Jonathan has all his gems. And like you mentioned, there aren't a whole lot of defensive plays that Jonathan can make, but there are 6 defensive cards in his deck.
No. Hugh got 1 damage and 1 sabotage, but John has 1 sabotage. John could potentially sabotage damage here, and that... yeah, sabotage damage means Hugh's not going to kill either hero here. Now, it's not the end of the world. He could just, like, draw Witchfire and start the next round by killing Proxima, and it's fine. But Jonathan's going to spend most of his gems here on Orchestral Conductor, putting a red counter on each of his small guys.
Yeah, and you've seen plenty of Orchestral Conductor if you've been watching this event. This guy's just huge.
He's just a powerhouse.
4 premium dice for 5 gems. With the caveat being you need to have stuff in play. This Hin deck is just insane at putting stuff into play.
Yeah, it really is. And John's not really protecting those small things, but that's okay. The Orchestral Conductor does enough to boost your little guys that even if they roll their dice and then die, you're probably generally happy with that.
Yeah.
You're fine with it.
Yeah. To fight Orchestral Conductor, you need to be trading up with things like Examine and Doside Thug immediately.
So Jonathan's just rolling out all of his dice here.
He's not to 8 yet.
Well, I'd be surprised if he doesn't get there.
Yeah, he's going to tactical reroll, 3 or 4 times as many as it takes.
Yeah.
His 6th gem was a Witchfire to take the shield off of Rylo. So
Yep.
he only needs exactly the 8.
So we got 5 here. Still just 5. Yeah, I guess we're just seeing how much damage he can tactical reroll for. That's the whole thing.
As long as your Hin is alive, and it looks like Hin is going to be alive for most of this game,
Yeah.
you really don't want to be resolving Green Dice's draw.
No, you really don't. So that's 2 more damage, is that?
And
is one more
damage and a
and
modify, but
Okay.
that gets to 8.
Yeah, it certainly does. Shield Prosima here, stopping the early round Witchfire next round.
So
potentially.
this Hin deck has 4 energy abilities.
Oh yeah, and none of them are particularly exciting.
No, but 3 of them are fine.
Yeah.
It's E, resolve a dice as shield, E, resolve a dice as modify,
Yeah.
E, resolve a dice as physical damage,
And
E, remove a shield from a support object.
Yep. So John's just gonna send the rest of his damage into Rylo. Not even the rest. He can still modify into damage here. But the chunk of damage into Rylo here, and then modifying to draw 2 and draw 2 more. Rylo is down, and John did not lose a hero for it.
Okay, this is a brutal board state.
Yeah.
Hugh has 2 premium dice in play on 1 hero. He hasn't killed a single hero. He has gotten in for 15 damage.
Yes. But Jonathan's gotten in for 16, and Jonathan has more health.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so from here, Hugh needs to draw some meat. Chain Plasma Rifles, Earthbinders, things that roll premium dice. He's had a Relic Circle in his hand the whole game. That could end up doing some decent damage, but yep, so Spotter Scope here on Starlet will be Hugh's play to start the round.
Yeah, I'm racking my brain for what sort of advantage Hugh could have, something he could lean into. And really all I'm coming up with is you have to hope it's a dice game. You have to hope that your opponent rolls really poorly.
Yeah.
But even then, Hin does such an insane job of covering for that because Jonathan has a grip of cards in his hand. He's going to be able to re-roll.
Yeah, seriously. So in the future, Hugh and various other Rylo Starlet players, I think activating your Starlet a little earlier in the round might help. Because if he had done that, he would have been able to have better information for what to modify with and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, because leaving Starlet for your final activation means you're just at the mercy of whatever dice those are.
Yep, and you might have had some more opportunities to find Chain Plasma Rifles or Battle Readies or whatever early.
Right.
Because if the Earthbinder was on Starlet would still be pumping out dice.
Yes. So Hugh's going to roll 2 damage here off a Concussive Blast, which will also kill a red dice and black dice off of Jonathan's board. That's a nice swing.
Yeah, that's tremendously efficient.
Yeah.
And Hugh does have Haunting Winds in his hand.
Yep.
So it's entirely reasonable to suspect that Yusith and Prosthema might both die here.
Right. I hope that is true if for Hugh's sake. But Yusith is going to eat that 2 damage that Hugh rolled, taking 1 himself. So Yusith is still at 3.
Yeah, Yusith going from 4 to 3 does not make this Haunting Winds any better.
No.
It makes the chances of killing Prosthema much worse.
Yeah, unfortunately. So let's see. I think he was thinking about playing that Haunting Winds on Yusith, but it looks worse now than it did a second ago. Okay, so instead it's Relic Circle. Nice.
Yeah, and that card does 3 damage very cleanly, but gives you a red dice while doing it.
And Jonathan discarded a Detonate Mines. Oh no, there's a second Detonate Mines in his hand. Never mind. I was about to say maybe he doesn't have the second one. Because Detonate Mines is picture perfect at killing Relic Circle.
Yep. There's a whole suite of 4 cost, 3 durability objects that they're statted that way because they're very powerful when they live.
Yep.
Ritual Circle can do a lot of damage, but as such, it has to trade down when your opponent has just the right answer. And the Hin deck is pretty good at giving you just the right answer. If it's in your deck, you're going to find it. There aren't a lot of them in the deck, but if they are in the deck, you'll find them.
Yes, absolutely. So Hugh is going to roll Starlet here, turning that blue dice into 2 damage, and will not be drawing cards.
It will not be killing either hero.
Yep.
Well, you can re-roll the red dice.
Yeah.
Remembrance. Okay. So I talked about his ways to cheat, and I was talking about Orchestral Masquerade and the Ascended. There's also Remembrance in this deck.
Yep. So Remembrance here is going to let John play, I'm not sure exactly what, but some small, a free Clothbound Apprentice that was discarded earlier in the round. And this means when Hugh kills his little guys, John gets an extra black dice out of them.
Yeah, and also a couple things like Clothbound Apprentice and Federation Battle Mage give Jonathan the ability to kill his own guys to make dice.
Yep.
Mostly, Remembrance in this deck is optimized for preventing your opponent from thugging your boys, though.
Yes, and making your thugs better when they're trading for something.
Yeah,
because Docile Thug is everywhere. He was going to resolve his 2 damage into Yusith and basically just shield and dig in, and I would imagine.
Yeah, this Arborealist means re-rolling is not going to find lethal anyway.
Yep, so he was just going to shield instead.
And now Hugh is going to just start passing until Jonathan takes off his shield. Yep.
So Jonathan's going to crack that Clothbound Apprentice rolling white-black. He was just passing until he digs in. It seems like.
Yeah, so there that is.
Yep. So Hugh's now dug in. It is Jonathan's game.
And Jonathan's going to roll 6 dice.
Yup.
7 dice. He has 7 more dice to roll.
And he'll do that in short order. So we've got another damage. We've got more damage.
And a sabotage.
Yeah, pretty useless sabotage at this point. Got a little bit more damage. Got a little bit more damage. Yeah, this is looking real nice on Jonathan's side. Goyner is going to discard that Enthusiastic Harmonist, and
So he has 9 showing right now.
9 damage, yeah.
So he can take off the shield and deal 8, but instead he's going to reroll, probably several times. It looks like he might be down to 3 cards in hand.
Sure. He hasn't actually been playing that many cheap characters, right? Orchestral Conductor and then Remembrance and Arborealist is
only
not that
3.
many draws.
Yeah.
So Jonathan's going to end up dealing 10 damage to Starlet. Hugh's got 6 health. His opponent has 24.
Boy, howdy.
And Hugh has a single spotter scope in play. Wow. This is yeah. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, this 411's deck is very strange.
Yes.
We mentioned Jesse is the pioneer of it. Jonathan is playing Jesse's list, so we're gonna see this deck again.
Yes.
And then it wouldn't surprise me if we see more of it in the round of 16.
Right.
You're allowed to change your deck from round of 32 to round of 16. And I think this is a deck that's catching a bunch of people off guard.
Right. And it's really cool when it works. So people see these videos or hear about it or anything and then potentially play that deck. So he was going to start with an ambush on Starlet, which will roll 5 damage. That ain't bad. And then 3 that's immediately going to go into Yusef. Okay, well, so Hugh wanted that to happen last round, but it's happening now, and that's good.
Yep. And he still has 5 gems up.
5 gems.
He doesn't have a sword bearer. He doesn't have anywhere to put an attachment.
You go like Radar Servo into Earthbinder or something like that.
Yeah, that's true.
While John, on the other hand, will Okay.
Swam another orchestral conductor, putting
yeah.
another 4 premium dice into play.
Yes.
So Hugh has the Witchfire, which lets him resolve lethal into Proxima. So Ulysses and Proxima are both defeated
before being activated.
That's
awesome if you're Hugh. Now if you don't pay attention to anything else going on, that's really awesome.
Yeah, if you just look at the outputs so far this round, Hugh is over the moon.
Both players just pass round ends. Great, right? That's what Hugh needs to have happen here. I would imagine. But unfortunately, Jonathon does know how to roll dice, and he's already rolled 4 plus a modify. Like, this is
he's got modify into lethal showing right now.
Yeah. But Hugh still got 3 gems. Oh, okay. Another radar servo probably won't save him here. Unfortunately for Hugh. Another red-blue here on John's side will roll more damage and 2 shield that can be turned into damage using because it's
Hin's
him,
energy ability, yeah.
So it's the other energy abilities that have been gotten rid of.
Resolve as shield and resolve as modify have been removed.
Yes.
And resolve as modify is also a great way to use that shield.
Yep.
But here
Hugh is not shielded, so he'll dig in. John will take off that shield and deal 6. There we go. All right, so Jonathan's going to go on to the winner's match here in Group 5.
Yes, this was a placement match, so neither of these players are eliminated.
Yep, Hugh is going to be playing next in the rebound match in 2 videos from now.
Yeah, which that was very cool. I'm very excited to see this 411's deck up against some different matchups.
Yeah.
I think running into the we call it a burn deck. I think that's a particularly good matchup for this 411's deck.
Absolutely is.
But it looked insane. So
yeah, that was very cool. All right, well, thanks for watching. Come back for the next one where we'll watch Jonathon playing whoever wins the other placement match, and hope to see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Yeah.